Alright, so I went to go do my emissions test and it failed. So now I'm going to go through the process of checking the key things like the air filter, and change the oil. Need to do that anyways. Look at the spark plugs, pull the spark plug. If it looks like it needs to be changed, then I have to change spark plugs. I'm also not sure how new the gas is, and so I'm going to try to run the truck a lot. Unfortunately, there's no fuel gauge, so I'm going to be driving around with a gas can in the back of the truck, just in case it runs out of gas. Yeah, so that's what's on the agenda. Alright, so in my opinion, which is not very educated admittedly, I don't think that looks that bad. I think it looks pretty good, honestly. This is the second from the front on the passenger side. Alright, so I got my gap tool. It's gapped right at about 55 thousandths. So we'll do the rest of the stuff on our list, and then if it doesn't pass, we might check all these again and go that route. Alright, so time to change the oil on this beast. Yeah, it looks pretty black. It's also very hot. So the socket is 9/16 that I'm using. If anybody's curious. I don't like how tight this is. Now it's going easy. I might run and grab me another bolt because that should go easy the whole way. Yep, the bolt is cross-threaded, that's for sure. Hopefully it's just cross-threaded on the bolt and not on the pan. The filter's in an interesting place in this rig. It's gonna drip all over everything when I take that filter out. I'd unloosen it with one of these guys. Just kind of wanted to show it, but I'll just hand tighten it so I won't have that problem in the future. That's pretty nice. Just falls straight up. I finally have the right parts tonight. Basically, here's my old drain plug, and it measures 12.32 millimeters, and the new one measures 13.68. And you know what? After looking at this, the thread pitch does look correct, but you know, you never can be too careful, so I'm gonna go double check that that's correct. Alright, so I did a little research online, and it turns out that the place where I check a lot of parts on rockauto.com, and basically they list two different oil drain pans for a 95 Bronco with a 302, and I looked on forums just kind of double check, and they are suggesting a 1/2 inch by 20 thread, which looks a lot closer to the current one. So the current one measures the outside diameter of, if you go back to inches, before I was in millimeters, of 0.476, and this 1/2 inch one measures 0.494, whereas compared to the 14 millimeter, that's 0.539. Now, since I'm tapping this anyways, I could go with the bigger size, and I may end up doing that, but I want to avoid getting as much, I want to get the least amount of metal shavings inside the oil pan as possible. I really don't want any in there, and the right way to do this would be to completely take the pan off. But I think it'll be okay. That's the plan. I'm going to tap with the 1/4 by 20, but I did double check, even though I got this from the Autoport store, they typed it in, I watched them type in the vehicle year, and the engine specification, That should be good enough, but it's not always. And I looked at the parts. That's why you verify that your parts are the same as each other. Alright, for those curious, this is the oil drain plug that I ended up using. Alright, so this is an oil pan. So there's lots of oil everywhere, of course. But I'm still going to make sure my tap is nice and lubed up. Try to make sure it's as square as possible. Okay, this is good. It's going in by hand, so that means I'm kind of following the threads is what that means. So I think if I would have used the new drain plug, it would have just fit right in there because the threads were already pretty good on that. It was just stripped mostly on the bolt itself. So now I'll try to install the bolt and see how well that slides in. Hopefully very easy. Alright, this is the moment of truth with the new drain plug. Oh, and it went in like butter. That's awesome. I'm not tightening that guy too tight. Just a little snug. Alright, so since this is the first time I'm using these, or changing the oil on this guy, I am comparing the filters. Now, they are a little bit different size. Obviously, be gentle when threading it in. And normally on these you want to fill them up so that your engine doesn't run dry of oil for like a second. But I think the way this is designed is it's kind of upside down to the side, like higher. So I think that's okay on this engine not to fill it up because it's going to be a mess. But I do like to put a little bit of oil just on this, the gasket surface here. I'm also going to put a little bit on the threads to make it slide in easy. Wear gloves. Don't be like me. Alrighty, now I'll screw that guy on. Alright, so I'm in here in the air box. I want to show you this guy. I'm not sure what it is. Looks like oil is coming, back through the intake. I kind of tugged on it a little bit, but it was barely kind of holding on in there. I think this is just to filter out like oil particles that they get in there. I don't know if you can clean this. It seems like a paper filter. Yeah, so I'm a little bit worried about that. I don't know how to replace that if it's a stock part. Message me or leave it in the comments if you know what this is. But like I said, I'm gonna try to super glue it in there. Try to get it to stick. Hopefully that works. Alright, so while the super glue is drying on that weird EGR filter thing, we are going to clean this K&N air filter kit. Now I got this cleaner kit. It says to spray liberally on both sides the cleaner. Let it soak for 10 minutes. Now that I've replaced the drain plug and the oil filter, I can add oil until it gets in between the fill lines on the dipstick. Also want to give you guys an update on the air filter. So I let it sit with that cleaner for a little bit over 10 minutes. And then I rinse it with the hose from the clean side out. So I push the water up through the clean side and out through the back. That way it should clean out all the crud. I blew it out with air also to get it dry. It says just to leave it and to dry naturally, but I don't really have time for that, so I got it sitting right now on the boot dryer. So yeah, that's pretty fun. It did really kind of rinse out that oil color, which is what you want. Okay, so now that the filter is clean and dry, it says I'm supposed to apply oil filter oil evenly along the crown of each filter pleat. Probably help things a bit. Still not coming out. What? Look at that. The white cap stayed in the housing. It's no good. That's how it's supposed to be. It's kind of cool that they have the color and then it washes away, because you can kind of see where you're putting everything. Alright, now I'm touching up any spots I missed. Let's see if it soaked through the other side at all. Yeah, it doesn't look like it soaked through, so I think I'm gonna have to oil this side as well. Yeah, it doesn't say if you're supposed to do both sides or one side. Alright, so now I guess I'll wait. Fun stuff. Alright, so here's the other kind of magic bullet fix that I'm trying out here to pass emissions. It's called Clean. It was expensive. It was about 26 bucks. If it does help me pass, it'll be well worth it. If not, I'll know never to buy it again. I filled it up, 5 gallons of gas. I've probably used around 2 gallons. And so I know it has at least 3 gallons in it, but the fuel gauge doesn't work. It's kind of a problem. So I'm just kind of making a guess here that the guy left it kind of low. Hopefully that's the case. At any rate, I'm gonna drive it about 15 miles like it says, and then I'll fill it all the way up to the top of fresh clean gas, and then I'm gonna run it. I'm gonna try to run this thing about 100 miles or so to get that gas moving. And then I might even refill it again. Alrighty, let's see how that worked. Alright, so it's been a little over 20 minutes, and there's a little bit of excess oil on the end here. Clean up. I'm just kind of blotting a little bit. Getting the excess oil off here. Doesn't say to do that, but it just doesn't seem to have the excess oil on there. Just finally ready to put back in. There's a wire that keeps getting in my way. I'm gonna zip tie it. Next step is I'll rehook up the battery and then start it up, let it run for a couple seconds and then get the oil flowing. Then I'll recheck the oil, add some if I need to, kind of play that game a little bit, and then we'll do the K-seal. I got this cracked open so it won't build pressure. Alright, start it back up. Alright, now I've started it. Now I'm going to check the oil. We're at a quart level, so definitely sucked up some oil when I started it up. Yep, so we're still low, so I'll add a little bit more. So my strategy for buying oil is I buy cheap full synthetic oil and I change it as much as you're supposed to change conventional. My understanding, which could be wrong, is that synthetic doesn't burn, has a higher burning temperature than conventional oil. The benefits of synthetic versus conventional oil are that it has a greater purity and more uniform molecular size. This leads to less sludge buildup and better lubrication in hot and cold environments. Alright, that looks pretty good. Start it up and see what it looks like. Alright, so that still looks pretty good. I'll leave it there. You can see, oh, I messed it up, but you want it to be right in between that line. Alright, so this is going to be difficult to show on camera, but another problem that this Bronco has is it has a slow leak and it's pooling up right behind here, behind the water pump, kind of on the block there a little bit even. You can see that green liquid there in the corner. Now at first I thought possibly since the thermostat housing is right here, that maybe that was the problem. But I really don't see leaks coming from there. But I can kind of see it like seep a little bit in between. Alright, so it looks like that's the only way you can kind of see. But it's kind of where that brown spot meets the aluminum looking part. That's where the timing cover meets up with the block. And that's a really common problem. So you'll see that puddling right back in there. It also kind of leaks down and around and ends up kind of like on the oil pan and stuff. There's no signs of water in the oil, so I'm not worried about that. But one thing I want to try, this stuff called K-Seal, and it's praised on forums, and I don't know, we'll see. Apparently it works for this specific job, for these timing cover leaks on Ford 302s. So I don't know, we'll try it out. If it works, great. That will maybe help me pass emissions because it will help the cooling system. You know, that slow leak will be gone and the cooling system will be full of coolant and flowing correctly. So yeah, we'll give this a try. Now I'm going to start it up and slowly add some K-Seal to the radiator. Alright, so it's the next day. I drove the truck around for about an hour, and then I filled it up with gas. Alright, so she took 21.4 gallons. Anyway, she's full up with gas again. We'll hit the road. Alright, we're almost to the emissions place. I'm not super confident it's going to pass, but I'm excited to see the numbers, to see kind of, you know, if we improved it all. Alright, I got my ticket. Unfortunately, we got another fail on the emissions test. However, our carbon monoxide output went down significantly, by 33%. Nitrous oxide wasn't so much of an improvement, at only a reduction of 11%. If you just want to get past your next emissions test and you have too high carbon monoxide, this might be a solution for you. We still need to fix the emissions on this truck. Stay tuned for the next episode when we fix these problems the right way. Thanks for watching.